Deep into the huge galactic council chamber, members from hundreds of species and star systems assembled. A convoluted network of partnerships and agreements bound them together. The council was proud of its diplomatic skills, preserving equilibrium among galaxies full of various and frequently contradicting views. But in spite of the council's attempts to create a stable peace, one species was constantly the focus of silent whispers and mutterings. In the galaxy, people referred to them as death. The humans of Earth were a mystery to many. Their world, classified as a death world by universal standards, had shaped them in ways that most other life forms could not fathom. They had developed in environments that would have killed most other species, fierce storms, savage predators, and harsh, unrelenting climates. Humanity had not just survived but thrived in them. Their resilience and adaptability were understood but rarely spoken of, as most council members preferred not to consider what humans could do if forced. It was easier to focus on humanity's contributions, their technological diplomacy, their strong ethical positions, while ignoring the darker possibilities. Still, the title Deathworlders carried weight. For some, it was an uncomfortable reminder. Despite their civility and restraint, humans were capable of violence on a scale the Council had never seen, and hoped never to witness. As long as humans kept to diplomacy, the Council felt reassured. They clung to the belief that perhaps the Keldar's concerns were unwarranted. The Keldar, known for their rigid social pride and order, had long been among the loudest critics of humanity. For years they had viewed humans with suspicion, asserting they were too dangerous to be trusted. The Keldar saw humanity's reputation for aggression and survival as a threat to galactic peace. Despite humanity's diplomatic success, the Keldar never missed an opportunity to voice their concerns. On this day, tensions were unusually high. A recent diplomatic incident between the Kar and the humans, a minor border dispute, had sparked concern. The Keldar declared it was proof of human aggression. The council chamber was tense as lawmakers gathered, awaiting an update on the escalating matter. At the head of the room, Keldar Ambassador Zarek stood tall, his sharp eyes scanning the chamber. His disdain was evident as he began. Once again, he said, his voice echoing through the hall, we question the integrity of the Deathworlders among us. They speak of peace, he continued, yet their nature defies it. They are forged in caves and storms, raised to survive rather than coexist. There were murmurs among the council members. Few spoke openly, but many feared what Zarek was now dragging into the light. Human Captain Rowan, accompanied by Ambassador Rose, stepped forward to respond. Known for his calm demeanor and unwavering patience, Rowan began steadily. We are all here on equal ground, he said, with the same commitment to peace as any other species. We do not seek conflict. We do not harbor animosity toward this council or its members, Zarek scoffed. Are we to forget your past just because you say so? You wear diplomacy like a mask, Captain? How long before your true nature shows? Rowan remained composed. His eyes hardened slightly. Yes, he replied. Our nature is one of tenacity, but also one of discipline. We have chosen peace. Not because we are weak, but because we believe in this alliance. Zarek raised his voice. We cannot ignore the threat that walks among us. How long will we remain blind to the risk? The chamber grew tense. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. The fear of humanity's untamed side, long suppressed, was now in the open. Captain Rowan stepped forward again. We are allies, not enemies, he said firmly. But do not mistake our restraint for weakness. We honor the peace this council stands for, and we expect the same in return. Zarek's smile widened. Is that a threat? Rowan locked eyes with him. Consider it a reminder, he said coldly. We will defend our dignity, our people, and our place in this alliance if we are forced to, but only as a last resort. Silence followed. The room was thick with unease. Rowan's words weren't aggressive, but they were a clear signal. The Keldar were testing boundaries, and although Rowan's voice remained calm, his eyes betrayed the truth. Their patience was not infinite. As tension simmered, A group of Kelder security officers entered the chamber. It was a breach of council protocol. Armed guards had no place in this hall. Their presence stirred discomfort. The guards advanced, their eyes locked on the human delegation. Zarek offered them a subtle nod. Rowan's team readied themselves. Silently prepared to act if needed, but Rowan held up a hand. They stayed still. The lead guard stepped forward, glaring at Rowan. "Your people have done enough," he said coldly. "You're to leave this chamber and await interrogation outside. Council grounds." Rowan clenched his jaw. "We are council members, present by invitation," he answered. "We will not be intimidated, nor will we leave on baseless accusations." The guard stepped closer. "You will leave. The council has no place for death. Worlders." The word Deathworlders dripped with contempt. The room fell silent. Rowan's eyes narrowed. He remained still. The council watched, holding their breath. Zarek hissed, "This is their true nature." Barely holding themselves. "Back!" Rowan inhaled deeply. Then the guard reached out to grab him. In a blur, Rowan twisted, avoiding the touch. The guard stumbled back. The other guards lunged, but the human delegation moved swiftly. Each subdued their attacker with precision. No weapons, no excessive force. Just clean, controlled defense. In less than a minute, it was over. The guards were disarmed and unharmed. Their weapons placed neatly on the floor. Rowan turned to Zarek. "We have never forced our way into this council, but we will not be forced out." He looked around the room. "You call us Deathworlders, and yes, we come from a world that tests us daily, but that doesn't make us dangerous. Our restraint, our honor, and our discipline define us." The council chamber was silent. Fear shifted to respect. The humans had not overreacted. They had responded with precision, control, and principle. Even the Keldar guards now stared at them in awe and quiet fear. Zarek, for the first time, faltered. He had expected aggression. He had received something far more unsettling: power. Wrapped in civility. The council looked upon humanity with new eyes. They were not just survivors from a death world. They were protectors. Warriors who chose peace, but could bring war if needed, and the galaxy in that moment realized the humans didn't need to raise their voices to command respect. They only needed to stand still. Anticipated that people would act rashly. To make his dangerous force known, Zarek informed the council. But instead, the humans had displayed something even more disturbingly accurate: controlled power. His strategy to weaken the humans backfired. The nearby council members were clearly impacted. They hadn't seen unchecked violence. They had seen a measured, methodical reaction, a display of power far greater than they imagined. Not allowing Zarek to regain footing after his failure, momentum pushed him forward. Determined to reveal what he believed was a threat, he presented the council leader with demands. He urged an urgent investigation into the human delegation, painting them as a volatile force, a primal savagery hidden beneath layers of diplomacy. His words struck a chord with some representatives who already harbored reservations about humans. But others began to look past him. Rowan and his delegation watched in silence as Zarek's accusations intensified. They realized this was more than an assault on reputation. It was a test of their character. In spite of the provocation, they made a choice to uphold dignity and silent defiance, which only agitated their enemies further. Then Zarek made a final, desperate move. In a glaring breach of convention, he called for a car fleet to the outer rim of the council. A bold show of force, meant to intimidate, to reinforce the idea that humans were dangerous. But Rowan's team remained unfazed. Their stillness reminded everyone of their patience, their controlled strength, the kind of honor forged on Earth over generations. The arrival of the car fleets triggered alarms across the council's network. And suddenly the real concern wasn't the humans, it was Zarek, for a council built on dialogue and mutual trust. The car's aggressive posturing was a betrayal of everything they stood for. Captain Rowan spoke once again. His voice was steady, but now carried weight. "We came to this council," he said, "in the sincere hope of joining a coalition built on honor and mutual respect. We've shown restraint, even when provoked. But let me be clear, we are not infinitely patient. We can keep peace, but we will defend ourselves if forced. That determination, it's what allowed us to thrive on a world that tests us every day. His words struck a chord. Council members were torn between Zarek's version of humanity and the reality that now stood before them. Rik refused to back down. He demanded humans stand trial, an attempt to degrade them in front of the council, but Rowan did not flinch. He knew such a trial would be nothing more than performance, a distortion of truth. We don't seek conflict, Rowan said. But we won't kneel to threats. If you want to see our power, you will, but it will not benefit you. His calm voice rattled even Zarek's own supporters. They had expected fury, not quiet conviction. And in that silence, Rohan's words echoed like history. The council leader finally intervened. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he called for a private meeting. He suspended Zarek's call for a trial, acknowledging it would only divide. The council further. Rik fumed, but was bound by council law. For now, the humans had weathered the storm. Rowan looked to his team. They knew what they had protected, not just themselves, but humanity's place in the galaxy. Despite old fears and prejudice, the council had witnessed the truth, the power of humans, not in domination, but in restraint. As they left the chamber, Rowan's thoughts were clear. Humanity would not abandon its nature, but it would no longer hide it either. Now, the council understood. Deathworlders were not predators, they were protectors. Moderation over recklessness, honor over hatred. A quiet shift had occurred inside the Galactic Council. The altercation spread quickly across the stars. Reports of the humans' control, precision, and refusal to overstep boundaries stirred not fear, but reflection. Many council members realized their assumptions had been wrong. The humans returned to their quarters, gathering to reflect on what had happened.